After the Civil War begins a period of reconstruction of the nation. This reconstruction was not just physical, but also political. The country had been divided and fighting a war amongst itself for more than 4 years. President Lincoln looked to heal the nation, and this can be seen when he enters Richmond, the capital of the Confederacy, after it falls to Union troops. The war is nearly over, and Lincoln knows it. He sits down at Jefferson Davis's desk, and when a young captain comes up to him and asks how to treat Confederate prisoners of war, Lincoln simply responds, "Let 'em up easy." And this really shows what Lincoln's attitude towards the peace process was going to be, and that was a fair and generous peace that would prevent any kind of civil strife from causing a war ever again. Lincoln's plan for Reconstruction was that readmitted states must guarantee the abolition of slavery. Shortly before his death, he actually sees this through by pushing for the 13th Amendment and getting it passed through Congress. The famous Steven Spielberg movie, Lincoln, is based on a Doris Kearns Goodwin book called Team of Rivals. The book discusses Lincoln's political genius and how he took all of his rivals, even from within his own party, and brought them together in his presidential cabinet, and that's what made for a really successful presidency. The movie Lincoln focuses entirely on Lincoln's efforts to pass the 13th Amendment. Secondly, he wanted Confederate states, prior to being readmitted, to have 10% of their voters take an oath of allegiance to the Union. This figure of 10% is extremely generous. Unfortunately, John Wilkes Booth assassinates Lincoln at Ford's Theater in April of 1865. Lincoln's plan, therefore, dies with him. His vice president, Andrew Johnson, takes office in his place. Johnson wants to honor Lincoln's wishes. His plan includes 1. Readmitted states must ratify the 13th Amendment. 2. 10% of voters must swear allegiance. And then he simply adds 3. Some former Confederate leaders will be stripped of their right to vote. Still very, very generous, but takes into account that Confederate political and military leaders should probably not be allowed to vote again. Unfortunately, Congress did not respect Andrew Johnson. Had Abraham Lincoln lived, congressional leaders like Senator Charles Sumner from Massachusetts or Congressman Thaddeus Stevens from Pennsylvania probably never would have dared challenge Lincoln. Andrew Johnson, however, wasn't respected at all. He was kind of an afterthought to even Lincoln. Lincoln's first-term running mate, Hannibal Hamlin, bowed out of running with Lincoln for a second term. Even more so, Lincoln wanted to show that he was willing to work with others who may not necessarily completely agree with him. So he reached out to Democrat Andrew Johnson. Johnson was from Tennessee, who seceded from the Union and joined the Confederacy. Johnson, however, refused and defected to the North. Lincoln wanted to show it is not the South and it is not slavery, it is secession that I oppose. So he runs in 1864 with Andrew Johnson. Johnson is better known as a sloppy drunk from the Senate, however, so he receives no respect. Congress hijacks Reconstruction. It comes to be known as Radical Reconstruction. Their plan said that 1. No state could deprive a person born on American soil their rights to citizenship or to vote based on their former status as a slave. 2. No military leader or office holder of the Confederacy could ever run for office again. Both of these things are addressed in the 14th Amendment. And lastly, 3. The South would be subject to a military occupation. Troops would not be withdrawn until their state adopted a state constitution accepted by Congress. This is a map of the military districts. Virginia, seen as the brainchild of the Confederacy, is its own military district. The Carolinas are military district number 2. Alabama, Georgia, and Florida are military district number 3. Arkansas and Mississippi are military district number 4. And Texas and Louisiana are military district number 5. When Andrew Johnson refuses to cooperate with Congress in their radical views of Reconstruction, he is impeached. Pictured here is the congressman that I mentioned before, Thaddeus Stevens of Pennsylvania. Johnson goes through a grueling trial, and although he is acquitted by an extremely close 35-19 Senate vote, his power is significantly weakened, and the very little respect he did have disappears. In this famous political cartoon of the time, you can see Andrew Johnson, the president, on this side of the cartoon, and he has a cannon labeled Congress pointed directly at him, and standing next to the cannon, ready to load and fire it, are Secretary of War Edwin Stanton and General Ulysses S. Grant. Stanton was removed by Andrew Johnson, which triggered his impeachment. And Grant supported Stanton and eventually replaces Andrew Johnson as President of the United States. This is the end of the presentation. Please make sure that you take the online quiz. Use your notes on the quiz. If you've taken good notes and you use them, there's really no reason you shouldn't get a perfect score. Thank you. See you in class.